not only are they leading us toward a nuclear war and possibly a World War III, they're leading us to the demise of America in ways that I don't think most people realize. You know, when you see, even if we don't go into any sort of kinetic war with these countries, what we are is an economic war, and they're getting more and more. They're banding together and they're creating a coalition that will, at a minimum, if they don't completely defeat us, they're going to cost us billions of dollars, trillions of dollars in ways that I don't think people realize. What China is doing, what Russia is doing with BRICS. You know, a lot of people are tired. A lot of countries are tired and hate America because of the way that we have kind of pushed our way around the world economically, whether it's through sanctions that don't make a lot of sense, that are unjustified, that, you know, are violating the sovereignty of these countries in ways that we would never accept. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is something that I think Trump is missing in his campaign, really going after Kamala Harris about her being a warmonger and accepting Dick Cheney's endorsement, and also being part of one of the biggest warmongers ever in America, and that's Joe Biden. And yeah. I think he needs to start going after him, because I think if she gets elected, they're going to do a draft, I think. And they're going to get us more involved in Ukraine. They're going to get us more involved in the Middle East.
Right.
And if something happens with China and Taiwan, they're going to get us involved in that too. And they're going to have to start a draft, because their numbers when it comes to enrolling people or people joining the military is really low.
It's yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do something in order to get the people they need in there to actually fight these wars. And I think that's partly also part of the calculus of bringing these mostly young men across the border as well. And that scares the hell out of me too, because, you know, these people, majority of them, they don't have reverence for the American dream like we do.
There's no loyalty.
Yes, their morals and their morals are going to be different than ours, especially when it comes to wartime. Mm-hmm. And who knows what they're going to do.
Taking an unconstitutional order like that, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
Anything like that. They're
not loyal to the American people, so they don't hold us in the same reverence that you know our own citizens would, and so they're more than willing to do whatever they're told.
You know,
they'll be given citizenship or offered citizenship if they enlist and things like that. There's going to be a lot more goodies given.
Citizenship doesn't create patriotism, though.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. No. But the point is they want people in here that are willing to do things most Americans wouldn't.
Right.
And then on top of that, they're going to dangle out carrots that are going to get them to go the way that they want. I don't know how effective that'll ultimately be. I think they are probably. I don't disagree that that's a strategy, but I do think that they are overestimating people's willingness from other countries to go to war. I think they're going to see whether they're going to see as many draft dodgers if they, you know, start a draft that are undocumented as they ever would.
I guess that's one way to get back over the border.
They're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going back to El Salvador.
I hear these congressmen, a couple of different congressmen. I think Jamie Raskin and Dick Durbin are talking about military service for citizenship, and it's like, have you never read a history book? Rome fell because they diluted citizenship by offering it for military in exchange for military service. Yeah. That ends badly historically. Can give you example after example. Every time it's tried seriously, it ends up bad for the people, because like we've all said, they're more likely to take an unconstitutional order, for example, against the American people. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a national security threat to do that sort of thing. And it's amazing to me how many Congress people are willing to get behind it. And I know the numbers for recruiting are low, but I think the reason is that real men don't want to hear any woke nonsense. They don't want woke. They don't want, I guess, homosexual. They don't want that culture. Their warriors are there to go to war.
Well, look, they've been diluting the military for a long time. It's honestly one of the. I got out in 2011, and because of some of the things that Obama was doing, was the main driver for that. Just like we're talking about, and they're not even nearly as bad. It wasn't nearly as bad then as it is now. But now, now they're talking, now you have it to where we have women in the infantry, women in special operations, all these things. And we've seen the trend. We saw it even back then. That was one of the things that was concerning me, but even back in like 2010, 2011, where they were lowering standards in preparation. We all knew what was going on. Like, hey, you know what? They're going to start allowing women to come into special operations, and they're start allowing women come into the infantry and things like that. And that causes real problems. Not because that there isn't, very capable women out there, but when you're lowering the standards, you're lowering it across the board. So even the men that shouldn't be there are now there. And on top of that, now we have women. Now, I don't know how many of you out there know what like a special operations in A team is, right? An ODA. So you have 12 guys on a Green Beret SF ODA, Operation Detachment Alpha. So we're out there, 12 guys. You go to a remote location and you're out there. And it's just those 12 guys. And then you're also training indigenous folks around there. Now you take 12 of those guys, you take a few of them out, and you put 2 females in what we call a team house. And so we have 10 guys, 2 females. Folks, the amount of problems that will cause, just ask my wife, ask her if she would be happy if I'm out in the middle of Iraq and it's just us 10 guys and 2 chicks.
Nope.
Like,
you can come on home now.
It's not good. It's not good. Never mind the fact that I 100% know, and this is not a knock on females. If the standards had stayed where they are, there would be almost 0 women capable of getting into special operations. If they kept selection and the entire pipeline for training the way that it was, it's just not possible. Look, women are awesome. They're amazing. They do some great things. There are things that women can do that men absolutely cannot, and vice versa.
I'm way better at you at some things.
You are 100%
and you're way better than me at some things.
You are so much better.
There's a lot of things that I
cooking, cleaning.
No, that's the truth though. What you're saying is true. And it's like they want to completely pretend like differences between the sexes don't exist.
Right.
Well, that's part of feminism.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the physiological differences, and there's the difference. Like, women are born to be nurturers. We're not meant to be warriors.
Mentality.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
And there's also a real problem too. Like, if there's things that when you're in the middle of a gunfight, and it is a natural tendency of men to want to take care of women, right? So suddenly, like, we know that, hey, if somebody gets injured, and if you don't, this is how it works. Somebody gets injured in the middle of a gunfight, you do not stop and treat them. You continue to fight. You have to suppress the threat. They render self-aid if they can. And this is how we keep other people from getting killed. And I can tell you right now, if there is a female on the battlefield, suddenly your attention is going to be more diverted than if it was Jack over there. That's like, hey, Jack, take care of yourself, buddy. It's just different. It's different, and it's a bad recipe. And there's a reason why for millennia we have not had women on the battlefield in an active role like that. And it's just, it's common sense.
Yeah. What do you think about that draft bill trying to draft girls into the military?
Well, I think if we're going to I think there's a role for women in the military, and I think there's some. I do think that if we're going to
draft men,
we need to draft women too. And the reason for that is because number one, I think the draft generally is immoral. The last thing that you want on in a military, if you want to destroy a military, put a bunch of people in there that don't want to be there. But if you're going to do that for women, if you're going to do that for men, you got to do it for women too.
And what a quicker way to change hearts and minds.
That's my point. Is like,
Yep.
hey,
You know?
the way that I see the military is we can do a lot more with, number one, pay them a little better, make it a better career field, do some things where it's a little bit more if you want to make something better, the answer isn't to lower standards, it's to increase standards and to treat them correctly, right? And this is like with government efficiency. If you want, if the more people that you have in a bureaucracy or the military and all the stuff that goes into that, all you do is make it more complicated. It makes it harder to do things effectively and efficiently. If you want the least effective, most expensive solution, go with the government solution. The same things with the military. The military is probably a little more efficiently ran than most of the government, but it still it sucks. Even like trying to get medical things done while you're in the military, at least when I was in the military, like you would put stuff off for deployments, like, hey, I need to get this surgery done or this thing done, but we got a deployment coming up. And like, it was just always hard to do anything. If there's a mistake in your pay, it takes months to get remedied. There's people that I know that went without pay for months and months. And finally they do get back pay, but like there's like
in the meantime, they've lost their house because they had no way to pay a mortgage,
or their credit is absolutely screwed. It's just if you had more people, if you incentivize competence, I mean, it's pretty common sense that if you incentivize competence and make it and increase the standards, you're going to be able to do a lot more with a lot less.
And back to women versus men, and this is something I've thought of quite frequently. I've heard other people express this thought as well, as what we see as modern feminism, and I guess my view of modern feminism has really